Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello friends, this is Dr. Neelam Panchal from Gujarat University, and today we are going to have a session on span of control. So what is span of control? Friends, the concept of span of control is a fundamental principle in management that refers to the number of subordinates a manager can effectively supervise. Now, this idea plays a very crucial role in shaping organizational structures, influencing decision-making processes and determining the efficiency of operations. As organizations strive for effectiveness in an increasingly complex and a dynamic environment, understanding the optimal span of control becomes a vital for the leaders aiming to enhance the performance and employee engagement. Friends, historically, the span of control has evolved alongside management theories. Now, if you look into, then early theorists such as Henry Fayol and Frederick Taylor, they emphasized the necessity of a limited span to ensure adequate supervision and control. However, as businesses have grown in size and complexity, the traditional views have also been changed and it has been challenged also. So, modern management practices advocate for flexibility, recognizing that the ideal span may vary significantly based on the nature of the work, the capabilities of the employees and the technological landscape. Now, these exploration of the span of control will delve into its historical evolution, types, advantages and the factors that influence its application in various organizational contexts. So, by understanding the implications of the span of control, managers can make informed decisions that enhance the team dynamics, operational efficiency and ultimately organizational success. So, let me explain you what are the objectives of the session. So, friends, the objective of this session is to make you understand concept of the span of control, to make you realize the importance of span of control in business world, to analyze different cases where we find it useful, and then to look into the factors that influence the span of control, as well as looking into what are the advantages and disadvantages of span of control. So, let us start the session. Friends, we will start with the historical evolution of the span of control. So, the concept of the span of control, it has evolved significantly since its inception in the early 20th century, shaped by various management theories and changing organizational dynamics. Now, this evolution reflects a broader understanding of human behavior, organizational needs and the complexities of the modern workplaces. Now, if you look into the early theories and a classical management, let us try to understand that the roots of the span of control, it can be traced back to the classical management theories that emerged during the Industrial Revolution. Pioneers like Henry Fayol, you all already know that he is a father of the management, and a Frederick Taylor. They laid the groundwork of the modern management principles. Now, if you look into the Henry Fayol, a French engineer and a management theorist, he proposed that effective management required a clear hierarchy and defined rules. So, he advocated for a limited span of control, typically between 4 to 8 subordinates per manager, to ensure that adequate oversight and effective communication, because as you all are aware that if there is a limited size, then the span of control will be good. So, he also believed that a narrower span allowed managers to maintain quality supervision and build closer relationship with their teams. Now, if you look into Frederick Taylor, then he is also known as a father of the scientific management. Taylor also focused on improving the efficiency through standardized work processes, while he emphasized the task specialization. His idea indirectly supported the notion of a narrow span of control, as managers needed to closely monitor the performance of specialized workers to ensure adherence to the established standards. Now, friends, let us look into the human relations movement. In the mid 20th century, the human relations movement shifted the focus from strict hierarchical structures to the importance of the employee motivation and interpersonal relationships. Now, these movements, led by figures such as Elton Mayo, emphasize the significance of the social dynamics in the workplace. If you look into Elton Mayo and the Hawthorne studies, Mayo's research highlighted the impact of social factors on the productivity. As organizations begin to recognize the value of the employee satisfaction and morale, the rigid structures of the classical management were reassessed. So, these shifts suggested that a wider span of control might be more effective in fostering the employee autonomy and engagement. Friends, now let us try to look into the rise of modern management theories. So, as the organizational structures became more complex, new management theories emerged that challenge traditional views on the span of control. It involves number 1, contingency theory. Let us understand what is it. So, this theory posits that there is no one size fits all approach to the management. Factors such as the organizational size, complexity and the external environment also influence the optimal span of control. Leaders begin to appreciate that a flexible span should adapt to different situations, allowing for wider spans in stable environment and narrower spans in the more dynamic context. Another theory is a system theory. So, friends, can anyone tell what is system? So, here viewing organization as a system of interrelated parts, systems theory emphasize the importance of communication and collaboration. Now, this perspective supports wider span of control as it fosters teamwork and collective problem solving. Another side here, if you look into it, is a contemporary perspectives. So, in the 21st century, technological advancement and a changing work environment have further transformed the understanding of the span of control. It includes digital communication and remote work. Friends, we all are aware that there is a rise of the digital communication tools. It has enabled managers to supervise larger teams more effectively. With the remote work becoming prevalent, the need for the traditional oversight has diminished, leading many organizations to adopt wider span of control. Another point here is agile management practices. Friends, the agile movement promotes flexible, team-based approaches to the project management. In this context, leaders often try to see that wider spans to encourage the innovation and responsiveness, breaking down traditional hierarchies in favor of the collaborative structures. Let us try to understand what are the types of the span of control now. So friends, by now you are clear with what is span of control, and by now you are clear with the theories also with which it was started. So now let us focus upon the span of controls types. So here it can be categorized into two primary types: narrow span of control and wide span of control. Now, as the name suggests, can anyone tell what is narrow and what is wide over here? So, each type has its own characteristics, advantages and implications for organizational management. So, the choice between the span often depends on various factors, including the nature of the work, the organizational culture and the capabilities of the workforce. Let us understand one by one. So, the first is a narrow span of control. As the name suggests, a narrow span of control refers to the management structure where manager supervises a limited number of subordinates, typically ranging from 3 to 6 individuals. Now, here this type is also often characterized by close supervision. We all are clear that if there are less people, there will be close supervision. So, managers have capacity to closely monitor the performance of the activities of each subordinate. Why? Because you have a close supervision. It fosters the direct oversight and more frequent feedback. On the other hand, the second important aspect here is a enhanced communication. Friends, we all know that with a fewer direct reports, communication tends to be very clearer and more direct, allowing for a better understanding and relationship building also between the managers and the employees. Third important aspect here that you should understand is its support for the complex task. Now, it is very important. Many times when there is a complex task, if there is a wider span of control, you are suffering. But here in the environment where the tasks are complex or which requires the high level of a skill, a narrow span, it can provide the necessary guidance and a support for the employees to succeed. On the other hand, if you look into the narrow span of control, it is always better because you have a direct contact and a direct coordination and a direct communication and a direct relationship also. So, let us try to understand what are the advantages of the narrow span of control. So, the first important aspect over here is increased oversight and accountability. Friends, another important point, as I said, is a stronger relationships and a trust between the managers and subordinates. Why? Because you are working very closely. Third is a greater opportunities for the coaching and the development. Why there is a great opportunity? Because you are guided directly by the superior. So, that is the advantage. If you look into the disadvantage of the narrow span of control, on the other side, it involves the higher management cost due to the need for the more managers. You need more people and you need more communication, you need more cost. Another disadvantage is potential for micromanagement leading to reduced employee autonomy. Then thirdly, slower decision making process as communication may become more hierarchical. So friends, this is all about a narrow span of control. So are you clear now that narrow span of control is focusing upon focusing only on a very limited people and directing them by a particular manager. We have seen the advantages and disadvantages also. Now, let us look into the other type. The other type over here is a wide span of control. What is wide span of control? On the other hand, wide span of control, it allows a manager to supervise a larger number of subordinates, often ranging from 10 to 20 or more. So, here compared to the narrow, as the name suggests, it is wider. The number of subordinates that you are going to supervise is again more. So, let us look into that. What are the characteristics? First is a greater autonomy. Now, here employees are often given more independence and responsibility as managers focus less on day-to-day activities and more on strategic oversight. Now, that is very, very important, because as a manager, how would you be able to focus upon all the tasks at a time? Okay. So, second now is emphasize on team collaboration. So, here wider span can facilitate the team based approaches, encouraging collaboration and innovation among the employees. Thirdly, cost efficiency. So, here organization can reduce management layers, resulting in lower overhead cost and more streamlined operations. Let us look into what are the advantages of wider span of control. Friends, according to you, what are the advantages? Can anyone raise the hand? Okay, let me explain you. So, the first is reduced management cost through fewer managerial position. Compared to narrow, the cost is obviously reduced over here. Secondly, faster decision making due to less hierarchical communication, right? You are allowing them to take the decision, and so the decisions are faster. Thirdly, here enhanced employee empowerment and engagement, right? So, these are the advantages. Now, let us see the disadvantages of the wide span of control. So, the first disadvantage is a risk of inadequate supervision, which may lead to the performance issue, which may also lead to the task issues, and which may also lead many a times that people can take you for a granted, because you then become a boss many a times. So, that is again a issue. Another is potential for managers to become overwhelmed, affecting their ability to support the employees. Okay. And thirdly, challenges in maintaining the effective communication across the larger teams. Many times it becomes a very, very difficult, right? So, let us try to have a recap of what we have seen so far. So, friends, let me remind you that we started with what is span of control. We then look into the evolution, how the span of control came into existence. We also seen the types of the span of control, and we said that there are two types, the narrow as well as the wide span of control, right? So, in narrow and wide span, in both we have tried to look into the importance, the advantages and the disadvantages. I hope you are clear by now about what is span of control. If anyone has any question, you can definitely raise now. Okay, no questions? Fine. Let's go ahead on the factors influencing the span of control. So, let us try to understand it one by one. What are the factors that influence the decision for the span of control? So, number one is nature of work. So, routine standardized tasks may be suited for a wider span, while complex or a specialized task may require a narrower span. Another point is employee competence. Friends, highly skilled and self-sufficient employees, it can thrive under a wide span, whereas less experienced people, they need have a closer supervision, because you need to guide them. You need to make sure that they work properly, right? Okay. Third is a organizational culture. So, here cultures that promote the autonomy and a teamwork, it may favor wide spans, while those emphasizing control and hierarchy may lean toward the narrower spans, right? Okay. Another important aspect is a technology. So friends, advances in the communication and project management tools, it can enable wider spans by facilitating better information flow and a collaboration, right? Let us see what are the advantages of the narrow span of control if we try to look into supervising to the limited people. So, a narrow span of control where a manager supervises a limited number of subordinates offers significant advantages, and it can enhance the organizational performance and employee engagement. So, what are the key benefits? Number one is a increased supervision and oversight, right? So, it will require a close monitoring. So, managers can closely oversee the work of their team members and ensuring that the tasks are completed according to the established standard and the procedures. Another thing is a quality control. Friends, with a fewer direct reports, managers can maintain the higher levels of the quality control and address the issues more promptly. Second point is a stronger relationships, right? So, it includes number one, personalized attention, right? So, managers can devote more time and energy to each employee, fostering stronger relationships and better understanding of the individual needs and challenges. Also includes the trust and the communication. So, close supervision, it can lead to improved communication, trust and a collaboration between the managers and employees. Okay. Now, thirdly, it is a better employee development. So, what happens in the better employee development? It includes number one, coaching and a mentorship. So, managers can provide more tailored coaching and then feedback, facilitating professional development and skill enhancement. Now, this is also very, very important nowadays, right? And then secondly, focused training. That is, with a fewer subordinates, managers can invest time in training and developing their team members and helping them to grow and succeed. Now, the fourth important point over here is enhanced motivation and morale. So, supportive environment is one where employees often feel more supported and valued when they receive direct attention from the managers, which can boost morale and job satisfaction. Another point is recognition of the efforts. So, managers are better positioned to recognize and reward individual contributions, which can lead to increased motivation. Next important point, friends, over here is effective problem solving. Now, it includes the quick resolution. What happens is problems can be identified and addressed more quickly in a narrow span of control due to closer supervision and a communication. Another point here is a personalized solution. So, managers can tailor their approach to individual employee needs, leading to the effective problem solving. Okay. Another important point is a clear accountability. So, friends, it includes defined rules. So, a narrow span allows for a clear delineation of the rules and responsibilities. So, making it easier to hold individuals accountable for their performance. Another point is a performance monitoring. So, managers can track performance metrics more effectively, providing clearer feedback and setting specific goals for the employees. Okay. The next point is enhanced team cohesion. What is the meaning of that? It includes 2 points. Number one is stronger team dynamics. So, close supervision, it can foster a sense of camaraderie and team cohesion as employees work closely with their manager and each other. Also, another point over here is a collective problem solving. So, managers can facilitate team discussions and collaborative problem solving, leading to the more innovative solutions. Friends, while a narrow span of control can present the challenges such as higher management cost and a potential micromanagement. Its advantages has also make it particularly effective in certain organizational context. So, by fostering the stronger relationships, enhancing employee development and ensuring effective oversight, a narrow span of control, it can lead to the improved performance and a positive workplace culture. It totally depends upon the organization that they have to decide it carefully and consider the specific needs and the circumstances when determining the optimal span of control of the management structure. You cannot decide it just as it is that okay, I'll go for narrow or I'll go for wider. Okay, let us also look into the detailed advantages of the wide span of control. So, it includes a larger number of subordinates, as we have already seen that it offers a variety of people, and importantly we need to understand that when there is a wide span of control, the manager supervises the large number of subordinates and offers many benefits that can enhance the organizational efficiency and employee engagement. So, what are the key advantages? Let us look into the benefits in detail. First is the cost efficiency. So, it includes the reduced management layers. Fewer managers are needed, leading to the lower overhead cost and a more streamlined organization structure. Secondly, optimized resources. So, with the employees reporting to each manager, organizations can allocate resources more effectively. Now, the second point is faster decision making. Friends, you better know that when the delegation is done, then there are quicker responses. So, with a fewer layer of the hierarchy, information, it can flow more freely, allowing for the faster decision making and responsiveness to the changes. Another point is empowered teams. So, employees often have a more autonomy to make the decisions, which can speed up the processes and enhance the agility. Third important point is enhanced employee empowerment. Friends, when you increase the responsibility, it will tend to make on a more responsibility in a wider span environment, and it leads to the greater ownership of their work and the outcomes. On the other hand, the motivation and engagement, that is another point. So, if you empower the employees to make the decision, that is going to foster a sense of trust and a motivation, and obviously it would improve the overall job satisfaction, right? So, when you are working in an organization, when you get autonomy and responsibility, obviously you are motivated, right? Okay. Next is greater innovation and creativity. So, it includes collaborative work environment. So, wider spans can promote the teamwork and collaboration, encouraging innovative thinking and a problem solving. On the other hand, there is a diverse perspective. So, with the more employees involved, a variety of ideas and viewpoints can contribute to the creative solutions. Another advantage of the wide span is a improved communication. So, friend, here a direct line of communication is there. So, with the fewer management layers, since there are no much layers, communication can be more direct and it reduces the potential misunderstanding and the delays. Or other way, open dialogue, that is a less hierarchical structure. It can foster a culture of openness where the employees feel comfortable sharing the ideas and feedback. Next is a flexibility and adaptability, and it includes responsive structures. So, organizations can adapt more quickly to changes in the market or industry due to streamlined decision making processes. Friends, you should understand that it leads to the agile teams. So, wide spans often align well with the agile methodologies and allowing you to go ahead to respond to challenges and the opportunities effectively, right? The next is development of the leadership skill. Now, this is very, very important because you have authority, your leadership opportunities are there, and employees develop their leadership skills more readily, right, as they take on more responsibility and engage in the collaborative decision making, right. Okay. Also, skill diversification is also very important. So, managers with a wider spans often enhance their skills in delegation, mentoring and strategic thinking, as they all are involved in managing a diverse team effectively. So, with a wide span of control, it presents the challenges such as the potential of inadequate supervision. Its advantages, on the other hand, it makes it a compelling choice in the many organizational contexts. So, by promoting cost efficiency, faster decision making and a greater employee empowerment, a wide span of control, it can enhance the overall organizational performance and the adaptability. So, friends, organizations should carefully assess their unique characteristic. You cannot decide narrow or span control as it is, right. You need to look into the objectives to determine the most suitable span of control for your management structure. So, these are all the important points in the span of control. So, let me conclude today's session, right. So, what we have seen in this session by now? In this session, we have tried to understand what is span of control, right. We understand that span of control and the decision of the span of control is very, very important in any organization because it really decides about where you are going ahead. We have also tried to see how it was evolved, how the concept evaluated. We also tried to see the different authors and different management founders, what do they say about the span of control, right. We also saw that there are two types of span of control. One is a narrow span of control, another is a very good, exactly. Another is a wide span of control, right. So, we have tried to look into what is narrow and what is wide. We have also tried to look into what are the features of the narrow span of control and a wider span of control. We have also tried to look into what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages and what are the factors that may influence the span of control. We have tried to look into everything basic about the span of control. I hope you are clear with all the fundamentals and I hope you like the session. But in the next session, we are going to include more details about the span of control. So, I hope if you have any query, you can ask. Otherwise, we will end the session over here. Thank you.